Shalom, this video is about the plethora of movies about Nazism that seem to be out these days. I just turned on the TV and happened to be catching a little bit of The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. Of course, that wonderful movie about the Nazi era and Austria and the Von Trapp family singers. But in the movie theaters today, full-run production theaters, we have several movies, feature-length films, that have to do with the Nazi period. I saw a few weeks ago Boy in the Striped Pajamas. The story was about the commandant of a concentration camp and his family that moved to the concentration camp. Of course, didn't tell his kids. And his young son, 8 years old, discovers the camp. First he thinks it's a farm. He finds a little boy on the other side of the fence. And as the movie progresses, it has a very sad ending, tragic ending, and it shows you the horrors of Nazism. And what goes around comes around, and the man suffers a tragic loss in his own family, even as he's mass murdering Jews, but trying to hide it. And his wife and his mother reject him because of this mass murder. Boy in the Striped Pajamas, definitely worth seeing. And then just saw Valkerie, which was the story based on the true story of the last of 15 efforts to kill Hitler. This one was 9 months before Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. And it was Germans, Nazi officers, so army soldiers who tried to kill Hitler because they were disgusted by what Hitler was doing. It gives you a sense that not all Germans were bad, of course. Also gives you a sense that they had a sense of a nobler Germany. They thought by killing Hitler and some of the other leaders of the Nazi party, they could restore Germany and have Europe not be completely disgusted with what Germany had done. Sadly, the effort was futile. The perpetrators, the people that were plotting to kill Hitler, were all killed. And then 9 months later, Hitler committed suicide and the war ended. Also a dramatic movie, and even though you know the ending, because of history, definitely worth seeing. Two movies I haven't seen that I want to see, also out in the theaters. One is The Reader with Kate Winslet, an older woman who has a love relationship with a younger guy. And later on in the movie, that according to the trailers anyway, he's a law student or a young lawyer and discovers that she's on trial for having been a guard at a concentration camp. And I suppose it's the unfolding of that story and his conflicting feelings. And but again, the brutality of people caught up in Nazism killing people. And then we have the story of the Defiance. My grandparents on my father's side are from Belarus. This is a story of three brothers who escaped from a Nazi compound, go out into the woods and gather troops, kind of like the Hanukkah Maccabee story, to fight against the evil enemy. They have lots of people follow them. They try and build a community to keep them safe. It's a story of an act of rebellion against the Nazis, because not all Jews went silent victims. There were some rebellion efforts, like the Warsaw Ghetto, the Sobibor concentration camp. And of course, you can't judge. We weren't there. It seems like everybody would be afraid when you see machine guns pointed at you and German shepherds barking. But a story called Defiance, probably definitely want to see that too. So why are all these stories now? Well, I think part of the issue is that the aging survivors are slowly passing away, and there aren't people who were eyewitnesses, and there's so many people out there pretending it didn't happen, like the president of Iran and other Holocaust deniers. I'm a rabbi in Skokie, and there's going to be the dedication of one of the world's best and largest Holocaust museums and educational centers in Skokie. Not as large as the one in Washington or the one in Yad Vashem in Israel, but certainly a very important Midwest site to teach people about the Holocaust. Skokie was picked for several reasons, partly because of the effort in the 70s for the Nazis wanted to organize a march in Skokie. Skokie was a suburb in the north, right just north of Chicago, where a lot of Holocaust survivors settled originally. The city at one time was half Jewish, so that's partly the reason. In any case, we have these major motion pictures, Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Valkerie, The Reader, Defiance, and other movies out that deal with the Nazi period. 6.25 million Jews were murdered by the Nazis and their supporters in Europe. There were, of course, many other people murdered by the Nazis, political prisoners, homosexuals, gypsies, and others, but definitely stories that have to continue to be told.